season, right? Well, time for everyone to take a breath? No, not a chance. While the pavement world was cooling down, the dirt world just exploded. What we just saw was the most chaotic 10-day silly season in sprint car history. We're talking a legend retiring, a champions team getting poached, and a full blown arms race erupting between the two biggest tours, the World of Outlaws and High Limit Racing. The 2025 season finale at Charlotte wasn't just an ending, it was the start of the 2026 war. It is a complete realignment of the entire sport, and we're going to break down every single move. I'm Russ Fritz,
And I'm Nathan Johns.
and we're telling you to strap in tight because this isn't just racing. This is
Is
switching grooves.
switching grooves.
Nathan, welcome back.
What's up, Russ?
Not a whole lot, but just working hard and getting rich is hard work, man.
Oh yeah, I mean it's off season. You know, there's always work to be done in the off season in the race shop over here.
That lifestyle. So,
Oh yeah.
but I'll tell you what, Nathan, let's just get started where the 2025 season actually officially ended, uh, right on the track.
Doesn't
So
feel like it. There's been enough news stories.
we've got to go to the dirt track of Charlotte for the World of Outlaws NASCAR Energy Drink World Finals. And first things first, let's crown the champion. For the second consecutive year, put your hands together for David Gravel and the Big Game Motorsports #2 team. Now, this wasn't just a squeaker. This was actually a statistical beatdown. Gravel's 2025 campaign was a showcase. You ready for this, Nathan?
Oh, I'm ready.
18 victories, 364 laps led, 31 quick time awards, but here's the number that actually blows my mind. 40 podium finishes. 40. That's a
I mean,
level of
that sounds like a lot.
Dude, that's a level of consistency that we haven't seen since Donnie Schatz was in his prime back in 2018.
That's a lot.
So this, in my opinion, the best season of Gravel's entire career. One of the strongest complete seasons we've seen in years. So his average finish was right around fourth. He was in a single B main all season. He made 59 of a possible 64 dashes, and he qualified better than third on average. So, with his second straight title, he actually joins the elite. We're talking Steve Kinzer, Sammy Swindell, Donnie Schatz, Jason Myers, and Brad Sweet. That's the list of drivers who have actually won back-to-back Outlaw titles. This
That's some pretty
effectively,
famous names right there.
yeah, that effectively signals a shift. I mean, we're in the David Gravel era. The pairing of Gravel and his crew chief Cody Jacobs, that's actually the new benchmark, and they will actually enter 2026 as the favorites. So we all thought Carson Macedo might be the one to push him, and the 41 team took a step back this year. Instead, we actually really watched the emergence of Buddy Kofoid. Now that Kofoid Dylan Buswell duo on the Roth 83 team has actually really come into form, and they actually got double-digit wins. They need to work on consistency and qualifying to really take the fight to gravel, but the 83 is actually going to be a real problem for them next year. But here's the crazy part about the championship weekend. The guy who won the war didn't exactly win all the final battles. So, going over to night one, who rolls into the Outlaws' house? Well, their biggest party of the year and just flat out dominates? Well, that's Rico Abreu, high limit driver, the 2025 Kubota High Limit champion. This is the rival series champion. He comes in, he sits on the pole, and dominates the 25 lap race for his 21st win of the season. That was a statement.
That's 3 more than Gravel has.
Now, to Gravel's credit, he ran a strong second. And that second place finish was actually all that he needed to mathematically clinch the championship. So on Friday, Gravel gets the trophy, but Rico gets the win. And by the way, how about Corey Day? Starts 21st, drives all the way to 3rd. That was incredible. So, and that's the entire reason that he's going where he's going next year.
We'll get
But
to that later.
Saturday, the final race of the year, this is where it got wild. The newly crowned champ, David Gravel, has the title locked up. No pressure. He just goes out, rockets to the front, and starts to check out. He builds a nearly 2-second lead, and he's gone. But lap 15. Well, while leading, all by himself, mind you, he makes contact with the turn 2 wall, and he hits it hard. Brings out the red flag, and his night is over. The champion, the most dominant driver of the year in the World of Outlaws, is done for the night, done for the year. You cannot make this up. Of course, the doors blow wide open for the win. And who's right there, ready to pounce? Well, Buddy Kofoid and Rico Abreu. What happened next was actually spectacular racing. Kofoid and Abreu actually swapped sliders and just started throwing haymakers at each other for the lead. And finally, Kofoid rips around the top like he always does and takes command. And that kid rips it along the top. He holds on through one more caution to take an emotional season finale victory. So your podium for the final night was Buddy Kofoid, Rico Abreu, and Brent Marks. In total, we had 3 different sprint car winners at the World Finals: Rico Abreu, David Gravel, and Buddy Kofoid. And a quick note of the new team driver combinations debuting at Charlotte. Well, Spencer Bayston looked good and actually looked the best in the SJM car, making all 3 features and getting top 5s on the last 2 nights. Now let's put this all together. Rico Abreu, the high limit champ, enters the World of Outlaws finale and finishes first on night 1 and second on night 2. You can make a strong argument that he was the single highest performing driver of the entire weekend. Remember that. Okay, put that pin in your hat up here, a little feather in your cap. It's about to be real important in a few minutes.
Oh, you don't say.
So let's close the book on the 2025 World of Outlaws season. Here are your final top 10 driver standings. And these are the chess pieces for what happens next. So you have David Gravel, Buddy Kofoid, Carson Macedo, Logan Schuchart, who actually has one of his best points finishes since 2020. Sheldon Haudenschild actually finishing his time in the 17 car. Donnie Schatz held on to 6th, but completed the season winless. That's wow. Then you have Bill
That's a
Balog,
big deal.
Garrett Williamson, who was actually your 2025 Rookie of the Year for the World of Outlaws, Chris Wyndham, and Cole Macedo. You got that? Good.
I think I got it. I think I got it.
That was the 2025 season. Okay, so now let's talk about the 2026 war. This
Oh
wasn't a
no.
silly season. This wasn't just a silly season. This was a hostile takeover. This was an entire realignment. It all started with a single seismic announcement. So, yes, we've already talked about these. I'm just kind of recapping these. The first domino to fall was October 19th with the big cat Brad Sweet, six-time National Series touring series champion, announced that he was stepping away from full-time sprint car competition. Now, he's not completely retiring. He made that very clear. He's still going to run select races and his focus is shifting. He's a co-owner of Kubota High Limit Racing and he's a co-owner of Silver Dollar Speedway. He just became a new co-owner of the NARC 410 series as well. So that man is busy. He's moving from the cockpit to the boardroom. No, something I never thought we would ever see Brad Sweet do. But the real story, the immediate implication is that this announcement instantly put the single most valuable championship winning ride in all of sprint car racing, the KASEY Racing Napa Auto Parts sponsored number 9, on the open market. This actually triggered a chain reaction that just demonstrates the new aggressive strategies in the sport. Now let's follow the dominoes. Number 1, the KKR hire. So Kasey Kahne actually has to replace a 6-time champion. And who does he hire? An outlaw veteran? A big name free agent like Donnie Schatz? Nope. On October 24th, KKR announced its successor. They hired 21-year-old Dazen Persley. And here is the real kicker. Where did Dazen Persley race in 2025? Well, he was the Kubota High Limit Racing Rookie of the Year driving for Buick Motorsports. You see what's happening?
I'm
Kasey
still
Kahne
falling.
Racing. Kasey Kahne Racing, a former flagship World of Outlaws championship team, just poached the top rookie right from their own series. Like anyway, I could get really excited about this, man. I won't go into it, but this tells you everything. KKR, a team built, I wouldn't say by, but within the World of Outlaws before moving over, just signaled that the best new talent is being developed on the high limit tour. They're not hiring from their own ranks. They're investing in the next generation from the competition. And Persley will be running that Napa car with the high limit, and that's a huge move. Number 2, the Buick rebound. So, okay, Buick Motorsports, they've got a premier funded ride with the number 13 car, and their driver just got poached over to Kasey Kahne Racing. So what do? Do they hire someone like Donnie Schatz? Maybe somebody like Kerry Madsen? Nope. They don't even wait. Just days later, on October 29th, Buick announced his new driver, 22-year-old West Coast star Tanner Holmes. Now, this kid is a stud out west. We've seen him run well in the Tarleton car, and now he gets his first full-time national touring shot. And he actually becomes the first confirmed contender for the 2026 High Limit Rookie of the Year. You see the chain?
I
It's a
do a
direct
little bit.
it's a direct causal line. Sweet retires, KKR poaches Persley from Buick, Buick's top tier ride opens, and they hire Tanner Holmes. But I want to talk about this Tanner Holmes hiring for just one more second because this is the new world. This illuminates the new driver value proposition. The official announcement from High Limit It explicitly noted that Tanner Holmes, quote, has built one of the biggest followings in dirt track racing through his social media presence.
I was just
Think
going to
about
say
it.
that.
Yeah, think about that. Buick Motorsports lost its star rookie. They needed a replacement who wasn't just fast, and is fast. He's got West Coast wins, but someone who also brought tangible off-track value. So Tanner Holmes brings a massive built-in audience. He's got a huge social media and YouTube following. He is famously fan-friendly, and in this new arms race between High Limit and the Outlaws, this brand equity is a critical asset for sponsors. A driver's marketability is now just as crucial as their qualifying times are. That's the new landscape for the world of motorsports. Okay, so that's one landscape altering story, but it's not the story. The blockbuster, the super team, the big one. Remember that little feather I told you to put in your cap?
I found
Well,
it.
the Rico Abreu at Charlotte story? Yeah, go ahead and pull that out. It was a massive explosion when this bomb dropped. Rico Abreu, the 2025 Kubota High Limit champion, arguably the most popular driver in the entire sport, is merging his family-owned Rico Abreu Racing number 24 operation with, well, none other than Tony Stewart Racing, a new super team. But hold on, Tony Stewart Racing, that's a World of Outlaws team. That's Donnie Schatz. That's a foundational cornerstone team that has been with the Outlaws since 2001. So the only question that actually mattered was which series is this new powerhouse aligning with? Well, the definitive answer, confirmed by Rico Abreu himself, is Kubota High Limit Racing. Now, this is the ball game. This is not just a driver changing teams. This is a direct poach of one of the World of Outlaws' most legendary cornerstone teams. And you want to know how it happened? Why would TSR actually leave the Outlaws after 20 years? Well, it's the business model. Rico confirmed that the move is actually being facilitated by High Limit's new franchise system. Tony Stewart Racing will actually lease the franchise charter that Rico Abreu Racing earned with his performance over the last two seasons. Rico's quote was the franchise was hard to turn down with this opportunity. This is a complete and total validation of the High Limit franchise strategy. They didn't just throw money at Rico, they created a tangible, valuable asset, a charter, a franchise. And Rico Abreu just used that asset, that franchise, to actually bring one of the sport's most legendary owners right along with him over to the High Limit Series. Now, this move simultaneously poaches a cornerstone team from the World of Outlaws and rearms the High Limit Series with the sport's most popular driver, now backed by the formidable resources of Tony Stewart. It is the single most significant strategic blow in the battle between the tours, period. And of course, with that merger, TSR is cleaning house. They'll be holding a big yard sale during the PRI show week for anyone looking to buy team equipment. Okay, so with those major seats filled, who's left standing in this game of musical chairs? This is a free agent market. Sheldon Haudenschild, we actually knew in September he was leaving Stenhouse Marshall Racing. He's one of the most exciting, sought after drivers. The strong rumor, and I mean strong, is actually that he will be landing in the KCP Racing number 18, vacated by Gio Scelzi and Emerson Axum. So the next one we have is Ashton Torgerson, which is he's not really a free agent anymore because it is confirmed that he will be returning. So the 18-year-old phenom, though, on November 7th, actually announced that he will be running his first full-time national tour in 2026 with Shark Racing and the World of Outlaws. This is a big get for the Outlaws, a new young talent committed to their series with Jacob Allen as his crew chief, now that we've lost Bobby. And this actually almost certainly means the other Shark car, Logan Schuchart, will obviously be staying put with the World of Outlaws as well. Now, Kerry Madsen, the Madman, well, he's back. On Monday, it was announced that he's returning to full-time national touring. He's teaming up with Ty Wolfgang to campaign for Vermeer Motorsports, replacing Hunter Schoenberg once again. Now, they haven't decided which series they're running, and they're actually being smart. They're openly waiting to actually review the final payout packages from both series before they make a commitment. And that leaves the 10-time champ, Donnie Schatz, fired from TSR, a free agent. He reiterated at the World Finals that he's not retiring. But where does he go? The SJM number 17, the Haudenschoen left, is taken. But what other top-tier funded ride is out there? This is the single biggest question mark left on the board. So, just to be clear on where we stand, confirmed for the World of Outlaws in 2026 are Torgerson, Baston, and Cole Macedo. We also assume that Gravel, KOFOID, Carson Macedo, Schuchart, and Bill Baylog are all guys that are going to be returning. Plus, it sounds like rookies Garrett Williamson, Skylar G, and Connor Morrell will be back as well, right along with Chris Windom. Confirmed for the high limit side are big moves, Dazen Persley, Tanner Holmes, and Rico Abreu to TSR. We also expect Cy Lynch and Chase Randall to return. The big question marks besides Schatz are Kerry Madsen's Vermeer team and Danny Sam's team. Both are waiting to see how the final payout structures from both series will play out before they decide what series they want to run. So, what a shakeup! I mean, like I said, silly season isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening because the two tours are in a huge strategic battle. And in this entire season, both series showed their hands. First, the opening shot on November 3rd, before the World Finals even started, Kubota High Limit Racing drops its 2026 schedule. And look at this 66 race nights, 33 different tracks, 21 states, coast to coast. This is not a midweek money series anymore. I should say this is not just a midweek money series anymore. They do have the midweek money series still, but that's what Kubota High Limit Racing started as, if you remember correctly. It was strictly like an 11 or 12 race midweek money series, and that was it. But now this is a full-scale legitimate national tour. And the money. God, the money. 100,000 to win the Bob Weichert Memorial. 100,000 to win the Joker's jackpot at Eldora. 100,072 to win the Gold Cup. 126,000 to win the Skagit Nationals. This is an offensive move. It's aggressive, and it's a statement, and it's strategically crafted to be just grueling enough to be a national tour, but less grueling than the Outlaws' 90-plus race grind. It's designed to be the perfect, lucrative schedule for their new franchise teams, and like I say, those are Tony Stewart and Rico Abreu. So that's High Limit's opening shot. But how did the World of Outlaws actually respond? Well, their big announcement was defensive. It was all about 2026 technical and safety changes. So don't get me wrong, this stuff is critical for the sport, but the timing and the optics I mean, High Limit drops a blockbuster schedule, and the Outlaws, well, they drop a damn rule book. It just tells a story. So let's get into that a little bit. The rulebook update has caused a major stir. And sure enough, driver Danny Dietrich, of course, got on X and did what Danny does best, stir the pot. But I love Danny, you know, great guy, great racer. He tells it like it is. He doesn't care. He's not happy with the new fuel cell mounting rules. So let's break down what's actually changing because all but one of these are safety related and they are all direct responses to scary crashes this year. So, first, the fuel cell mounting. The rulebook used to say 6 mounting points were recommended, but for 2026, it's effectively required. This is a direct response to fuel cells becoming unattached in car or from cars in violent crashes. Second, left side bodywork. Now they're mandating a 31-inch max height above the lower rail and an 18-inch wide opening. This is all about driver egress. They want to make 100% sure that a driver can actually get out of a mangled car. This might affect guys who run those big high arm guards, and those may include, I believe, Logan Schuhar, Brett Marks, Tyler Courtney. I think Sunshine might have ran one. Not sure. I think Sheldon runs one as well. There's a lot of guys actually run the left side panels, which I I can see where high or outlaws are going with it. I can kind of agree with them on that. It is kind of a safety issue. So, but it's neither here nor there. I mean, it's not like you couldn't easily rip it off. Sorry if we break your body, but in an in an accident, there might not be much of it left anyway. And third, now this one makes a lot of sense as well, in my opinion. Carbon fiber floor pans are now actually banned altogether. Well, this is a big one. Only steel or aluminum will be legal, and that is actually a direct one for one response to a crash this year where a driver's feet went through the carbon fiber floor pan. So, good call. At fourth, ultralight rear axles are now banned. Now, this was not recommended in 2025. Now it's mandatory. They're mandating a maximum inside diameter, and teams were just pushing the weight saving components too far, and they were failing. This is a durability and a safety fix. Fifth, the Lifesaver bar, a new chassis support bar. This is the one that Dan Lawson at Schnee Lawson Chassis was talking about after the Tyler Courtney crash over at Eldora. Is now recommended for 2026, and the bulletin actually said that it will more than likely be mandated for 2027 after some more research. And sixth, the non-safety rule, wings. And the answer is no changes. Qualifying wings are still legal. Front wing position rules are not changing, but they are developing a single precision manufactured front wing gauge to be used by all sanctioning bodies. Now, this is to stop the kind of disqualification nightmare we actually saw with David Gravel at the high limit race earlier this year. So that's actually a good thing for everyone in sprint car racing. So this emergence of high limit has actually changed the dynamic though, as the new series may not follow the World of Outlaws lead on all rules, creating a potential for split cars if the rule books actually diverge too far. And of course, this being racing, the schedule talk did actually turn into a rumor mill. A story surfaces. Well, the World of Outlaws aren't going to California in 2026. Okay. This prompted a strong reaction from driver Carson Macedo, who posted, quote, without California on the schedule, the World of Outlaws might as well be the All Stars. It might as well be a regional series. Well, those are some strong words. So everyone can take a breath. World Racing Group CEO Brian Carter went on Wing Nation and actually debunked the whole entire thing. He confirmed, yes, the Outlaws will be in California, and the schedule is still just in flux. Tulare isn't available, so they're working on a new home for the Dennis Roth Classic. He even actually hinted that a return to the Northwest, uh, Oregon, and Washington could also be on the table for 2027. Carter also mentioned that Sheldon's event, the Buckeye Brawl in Ohio, is set to be expanded. That's a very interesting hint, isn't it? The promoter of that event is Sheldon Haudenschild. Well, that sounds like a pretty strong sign that Sheldon is going to stay on the Outlaw Tour, even with his team change. Carter also promised big improvements to Dirt Vision, more cameras, and more onboards. The Outlaws are on the defensive, but they are fighting back. So, whew, that's the 410 winged war. But what about the rest of the sport? Believe it or not, other things were happening all season long. The American Sprint Car Series are actually heading into their 2025 season finale. The championship is on the line at Creek County Speedway in Oklahoma for a two-night show, November 14th and 15th. That's this weekend. The USAC National Sprint Car Series, if you're actually looking for non-wing boys, their 2025 season is done. It concluded back in October at Central Arizona Raceway. Logan Seavey was your big winner out there, sweeping the Western World Championship. And the national focus for USAC right now is on the midgets. They're primed for the annual Hangtown 100 at Placerville Speedway, also this weekend, November 14th and 15th. And the NARC 410 Series, well, the Premier Series in California, their 2025 season is also in the books. It concluded on November 1st with a tribute to GP at Stockton. Justin Sanders won the feature, and your 2025 NARC Series champion was DJ Neto. The California Lightning Sprints, while driver Jeff Dyer, fresh off of his third CLS win of the year at Ventura, is heading north to, you guessed it, the Hangtown 100 at Placerville to compete in the multi-division event. And finally, in the You Can't Make This Up file, Barry Braun, the promoter for the XR series, was arrested in Lake County, Minnesota.
Oh
The arrest,
no!
the arrest actually stems from an investigation in West Virginia. The place is pretty close, isn't it, Nathan?
Oh yeah.
Authorities cited a consistent pattern of deceit and fraudulent activities and fraudulent schemes, all linked to his racing venue businesses. That is a bad headline. We will be following that story as it develops. So let's take a step back. Let's take a breath. This season will actually be remembered as the moment the Cold War between the World of Outlaws and Kubota High Limit Racing actually turned hot. The 2025 season has concluded, but there is no off season. The battle for 2026 began literally before either 2025 champion was crowned. So let's review the plays. High Limit Racing, they fired the opening shot with that aggressive 66 race national schedule. Then the 2020, or I should say then, after 2025 series champion Rico Abreu went off the Outlaws finale, or went to the World Outlaws finale, World Finals, in terms of pure performance and dominated the weekend. And before the dust even settled, they used their franchise business model as a strategic weapon. And they poached one of the most legendary teams in World of Outlaws history, Tony Stewart Racing. So, what makes, and a lot of people ask why I say that, it's not legendary because it's Tony Stewart Racing. It's legendary because they won 10 championships with Donnie's shots. That's what makes it so legendary. They did that in a period of 18 years. Along with all the wins that Donnie has, and, you know, the King's Royal. He won the King's Royal with Tony Stewart, I believe, twice. I mean, that's what makes that team so legendary, not the fact that it's Tony Stewart. So I want to clear that up. I get a lot of people that get on me about that. Now, the World of Outlaws, they crowned their new dynastic champion, David Gravel, who then promptly actually crashes out of the final race. Their other flagship championship team replaced their star. And the primary public response during this entire period was a defensive one. A new rulebook focused on addressing safety failures from 2025. They did get a win by securing the commitment of Ashton Torgerson to the Shark Racing team and the tour for next season, though. So you got that one. But if you're scoring this round, you have to say the High Limit won, and they won big. The 2025 season is over, but the 2026 war has already begun, and it's clear that the future alignment of this sport, its stars, its legends, its teams, is no longer being dictated by tradition. It's being dictated by strategic business structures, aggressive acquisitions, and brand new valuation of a driver's total brand. The landscape has been permanently altered, and we're going to be here to cover every single second of it. So that's all I have on that for today. My head is spinning. What a season. But I want to know what you think. What was the single biggest bombshell of this season, Nathan? And viewers, let me know in the comments below what you think. The big question, though, let me know what you think. Where does Donnie Schatz land in 2026? I already told you what I think last episode. So let's switch grooves to NASCAR.
So I'm gonna, rewind a little bit because we talked a little bit about the championship race last episode. I had to go back and look and see how long ago it was. I guess Denny Hamlin was kind of running with the storylines with, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna, race next season. I need time to think about it. And I guess at some point he called Carl Edwards up, which, when you think about it, isn't really that far off because they both went through the same type of heartbreak. Carl Edwards was 3 laps away from winning the championship when he got turned off the front of Joey Logano at Homestead. So I can, kind of see how the similarities are. Carlos got turned off Denny Hamlin, or Carlos got turned off of Joey Logano, and Denny Hamlin lost the championship because William Byron blew a tire. Heartbreak happens. But I do feel like he milked the storylines a little bit. But I thought that was kind of an interesting catch up when it comes to that. We also have some news when it comes to the new headlines or new team number or car numbers in the Cup Series. With Connor Zilisch going to Trackhouse in 2026, we now have a realignment of different numbers. For the first time, and I believe it's 11 years, there will be no number 99 car in the Cup Series field. With obviously Ross Chastain keeping the number 1. Connor Zilisch is now moving from the 88 in the Xfinity Series to the 88 in the Cup Series, moving SVG to the 97, the number he started off with in the Cup Series. So that was kind of a silly season update. I thought that was rather interesting with them moving numbers the way they did. Makes sense, keeps the growing brand of Connor Zilisch in the same number. Makes it kind of easier to follow. There have been some small NASCAR updates. Obviously, the big bombshell will obviously eventually drop on December 1st, depending on if we actually get this resolved. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. But the teams did drop one of their smaller claims. Obviously, it was one they weren't really going to win. and they're still going, the full enchilada on all these, big claims that NASCAR is a monopoly, which,
Enchilada.
yeah,
I heard
I
that
don't
one
know
a
what
lot.
else to put it. I mean, it's it's a big mess. I still think that they're going to lose this case, but then again, if they do win, it's going to change the telemetry of the sport, the trajectory. That's what I meant. I really don't know how it's going to go. I'm kind of just, I'm just Michael Jackson over here, meme, eating my popcorn, waiting to see how this is going to go.
But
Um,
what really screws them, in my opinion, is how all of the other teams went ahead and signed this bullshit charter agreement, which
yes,
I don't like. I didn't like this charter agreement either. I thought it
yeah.
was a joke, but
Well, there's a
my
lot of new changes coming to NASCAR. I mean, obviously, if
no.
the teams win, there's going to be a lot of changes when it comes to that. Also, there has been no new confirmed playoff system for next year. If we're going to get playoffs, or if we're going to get a new championship format, we may get 10 races, we may get 36, we may get the 3-3, 3-3-3 one race. We don't know. NASCAR has yet to finalize the championship format for 2026, which is a little concerning. I know that I believe it was Steve O'Donnell was on the Sirius XM podcast saying that you know we don't know if we're going to get. Or no, it was Mike Ford. I'm sorry, on Holler Talk it was. I mean, it's either going to be 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now. We don't know, which is a little bit alarming. I will say that. I mean, they did announce the start times for next year for 2026, and it's still got all the final 10 races all in bold. But that could just be a place marker. That could be marking that we still haven't changed the final format. It's kind of just a place marker, I feel, but you know, we don't know. Some other
I've
headlines that we do. Or go ahead.
what I've really seen about that is they're highly considering going back to the 10 race chase, and that's all I've really seen or
I
heard.
kind of hope they do. I would love to think that they would go back to the 10 race chase because I really feel like that'll bring more storylines and the better drivers I think will rise to the top in those. I really do. I don't know why. I don't remember why they went away from the 10 race chase. I mean, it created a lot more, memorable champions than
You know,
just, the one off championships of Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney and whatnot.
they changed it to help the rebrand from Nextel getting bought out by Sprint and
Well,
Sprint
no, I meant
becoming.
from going from sprint, like the chase, to the, playoffs we have now.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant. I'm not talking about going from Winston Cup to the chase. I'm talking about from the
No,
chase to
that's what
whatever
I'm
it is
talking about.
now.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They went from Nextel, and Nextel got bought out by Sprint,
Well, they still
and
had the
then
sprint one.
I think they kept it for like a year, but then they
Yeah,
wanted to
because I
flip
know
to
that I believe the final championship was
2013.
2016. 20 was it
2013.
2013? I thought it was later than that.
No, because I know because Kevin Harvick won the championship in 2014, and he was the first one to do it under
That's
this
right. So
playoff
2013. That's right because it
stuff.
was a playoff thing. I remember. But I mean, I feel like that did kind of cap off more memorable championships. I mean, yes, Joe or not Joey Logano. Jimmy Johnson won his seventh championship in 2016, and that's the same one that Carl Edwards, got screwed on. But I feel like we had way more memorable championship battles. I mean, Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards coming down to the tiebreaker. You got Brad Keselowski basically just barely beating out the rest of the field for his championship. Heck, Kurt Busch in 2004 beating out Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon by a mere, I think, 2 spots to hold on to his championship after he lost a wheel. Now, if you do that nowadays, you get suspended for that. Keep that in mind. You lose a wheel, you lose your championship. But now, back then, that was just part of the hazards, which I still laugh about. The difference between then and now. It's the silliest thing ever. But
Didn't the tire come down pit road, I believe?
it actually went down the racetrack. Like he split
Oh.
the pit road wall. He beat the tire off pit road, which I thought was hilarious. Like it came off as he entered pit road. He completed the pit stop, and as he came off pit road, the tire was literally getting to the end of the pit road wall and kind of fell onto the ground at the end of pit road. So that is kind of funny. It went the entire length of the track while he was on pit road, and as he came off pit road, the tire finally caught up with him.
They made a
Which
pit stop, right?
and they made a whole pit stop. They took the center of the wheel off and put 4 fresh tires on and still made it back on track before the tire came to a stop at the other end of pit road, which was rather funny. But yet somehow we lose a wheel nowadays, and it results in 2 crew members suspended for at least 6 races, I believe it is, because it was on track. It shows how far we've come and how kind of screwed up, I guess, it's become.
It's ridiculous.
But I kind of want to resort back to the dirt stuff a little bit, just because you made a comment about Corey Day. Hendrick
Yeah.
Motorsports has officially announced that Corey Day will run full time in the O'Reilly's Auto Parts Series. Yes, you will never get me to not say that, because that is the only way I can remember that series. I think it's hilarious. And honestly, with Xfinity no longer doing, the Xfinity series, I'm wondering if we're now going to get instead of our car was as fast as Xfinity Mobile to, man, these parts from O'Reilly's just makes my car that much faster in pit lane, so we get that bonus. I want to see how creative they have to get with these sayings, because I'm telling you, as fast as Xfinity Mobile was cheesy, it's going to get really cheesy when they have to sing the jingle in Victory Lane. I think it's going to be hilarious, and I'm all for it. But it's been kind of a wacky off season. I mean, you've got all this stuff in the high limit at World Outlaws, and we got, some of the more normal, I guess. We got SVG winning uh, rookie of the year honors, but most popular driver obviously went to Chase Elliott. I still feel like that's kind of rigged, but I guess I can't say much. I don't know the results.
Bill Elliott won it for 12 years in a row. He
I
actually
mean,
had to tell NASCAR to take his name off of the list because he felt bad.
well, it's been either an Elliott or an Earnhardt ever since that really started. I mean, ever since it was Bill Elliott, then it went to Dale Sr., then it went back to Bill Elliott, then it went to Dale Jr., then it went to Chase Elliott, which we're going on 20 some years now of it being the same 2 names. So I mean, it is kind of interesting, but at the same time, you can almost expect it anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how to react to it. We'll get
Larson
into a
said
little.
something about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I still feel like I'm kind of happy that the championship race is moving from Phoenix to Homestead, which we're going to cover the schedule here shortly. But I'm kind of curious how they're going to do the awards ceremony. We just going to do an awards ceremony from Miami now. I can imagine how crazy that's going to get. But anyway, let's discuss the 2026 NASCAR schedule. They've recently released the start times for all the Cup, O'Reilly, and Truck Series races this year. We've got the Daytona 500 being on February 15th, 2026. The Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray is going to be, I believe it was February 1st. I don't have that date written down. And they're moving the championship race from Phoenix, Arizona to Homestead, Miami Speedway, which, in my opinion, is the rightful place for championship weekend. Now, whatever they do after that, I hope they can better it than Homestead, but I really wish they'd go back to Homestead, because it was pretty good there for the longest time. The one notable race on the schedule that really caught my eye, and I'm going to kind of go off, the notes I have here, was the All-Star race at Dover. The start time for that race is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to tell you right now, that is going to be the biggest snoot, unless NASCAR can pull something out of thin air to make that race good. There's no lights at Dover. I think it's going to be an absolute train wreck, and hopefully they never run another All-Star race at Dover ever again, and hopefully they run it somewhere else in the future. I feel like this is going to be the biggest, I would even say, snooze fest, unless they can make something happen where, say they go in the opposite direction of the race the entire race. I cannot see that race being any good when it comes to an All-Star race. I can't see it. Unless they miraculously can make something happen with this new 750 horsepower, Cup car, I don't see this being a very good race. But maybe the tire test results will change it. But anyway, they're also going to hold a new race at the San Diego Naval Base at Naval Base Coronado. I have tickets for that race, and I am very excited to go out and see that race. I think it's going to be very cool. It is the final race on Prime this year, which I don't know if a lot of people know this secret, but I'll give it out there. So hopefully it helps. But if you subscribe prior to the Coke 600, you can actually get Prime to last the entire 6-race schedule and then just unsubscribe prior to the race. So if you don't know that secret yet, now the world knows it. Now, hopefully they don't, go and change it now. But, oh well, I said that. But Jimmy Johnson has confirmed he does want to race the San Diego Naval Base. So that'll be kind of cool to see him run that on his part-time schedule. I'm kind of excited for the race in general. I'm excited about it, but it'd be kind of cool to go see that race. Last time I saw Jimmy was at Daytona in 2024. So that is kind of cool. But I'm excited about this upcoming schedule. I'm not quite sure how I feel about some of the decisions on there. Moving Watkins Glen to May does seem a bit sketchy based on the weather in the area around that time of year. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's going to be a big conflict. But I guess we're going to see. There was something else I was going to cover too, and I got to look through my notes. Where was it? Oh, that's what it was. We had the tire test today, and there was one very observant viewer, and I noticed this through a few different stories. Either during the tire test at Bristol, where they had Bubba Wallace, Ryan Preece, and Alex Bowman, which aren't the three biggest names in NASCAR. They're definitely not the three fastest, in my opinion.
Not the best lineup.
But I will say that there was a very observant viewer who pointed out that there is either no rear diffuser or a very, very, very small rear diffuser on those Cup cars. So I'm curious to see what this package is going to do with either no or a very small rear diffuser and 750 horsepower. I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll hopefully clean up the dirty air part, because I feel like the rear diffuser is what really caused a lot of issues.
These cars still suck. They're too aero dependent.
I feel like if we get rid of the rear diffuser, maybe it'll help. I mean, I haven't seen the results of the tire test yet, but some of the videos I saw from the tire test definitely feel like it's going in the right direction. I mean, the cars seem way louder. If that means anything.
Go back to the Gen 6 car. There you go.
I mean, that is true. I kind of want to see how these cars are going to handle on short tracks before I, really give my opinion on them. But I'm skeptical to think that they are going to get a little better. I'm hoping that they get better, but at the same time, I'm not holding my breath. NASCAR seems to make one step forward and take two steps back on a lot of things, unfortunately. But I'm hoping for the best. I feel like every year I hope for the best and find that it just gets worse every single year.
Why do the
There
guys kick the
is,
dirt?
there is one oddball story, and I have yet to really find any more else on this. But supposedly, AMC, I think it's AMC, I got to look through and find it on my notes again. Apparently, there is going to be a new NASCAR television show. Something that the way it was described, it is something along the lines of like Yellowstone
Oh
or
yeah.
Landman or that other stuff, which I'm not sure how I feel about it. Making a NASCAR, themed, uh, drama. I'm not so sure how I feel about it. I feel like that's going to give it kind of the wrong vibe, but I'm curious to see how they're going to do it. But I'm not sure how I feel yet about it. It does seem kind of, I wouldn't say foreign, but definitely not something I can see myself watching. But then again, every year I get skeptical, thinking things are going to get better. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll be another blockbuster series, and maybe we'll have a great TV fan base.
No, they should just make it like the old Married with Children. They put Al Bundy in a stock car.
Now that would be kind of funny. But there was one more story, and this one kind of came. I feel like this kind of came out of left field, but it does have some bias to it. Um, Apparently, Corey Haim, who I would think is one of the Toyota's top drivers across the board, apparently he is not welcome at JGR. And this is kind of a, far out there story, but I have seen a little bit of this that backs this story up. Let me set the stage for you. A few years ago, Corey Haim and Ty Gibbs had a few run-ins in the ARCA series. And apparently they didn't go over real well. Well, flash forward to recently, Ty Gibbs is now the listed owner of the Tanner and Taylor Gray 50, or I guess it's the 54 of Taylor Gray in the O'Reilly series. But you would think Corey Haim, who is one of Toyota's top drivers, maybe Joe Gibbs would want, JGR would want a top prospect and well-performing driver on their team. Apparently not, because it feels like there's still bad blood between Corey Haim and Ty Gibbs, and 3 of the 4 cars are owned by Joe Gibbs in the O'Reilly series for next year. I highly doubt they're going to give up Taylor Gray's spot because he's owned by Ty Gibbs, but all the other drivers, are pretty well performing. Eric Almirola is a part-time driver. I can't see him going anywhere anytime soon because every time he gets in the car, he wins. But at the same time, it is a little surprising. You think, people would, mature a little bit, but then again, we've got, we're talking about the guy who punted his own teammate, in a cutoff race for a win that he was already locked into. You would think, maturity would have set in, but then again, we're talking about the same team that's, employed Denny Hamlin and Ty Gibbs. And that's just me being me. I don't think the word maturity is in JGR's vocabulary. That's just my 2 cents on that one. I do find it a little funny that they've got a top prospect in Corey Haim, but unless he brings out more money than all 4 of their drivers combined, he'll probably never race for JGR, which is pretty sad that they're going to cap him because of a bad run in 10 plus years ago. Yeah, it's pretty sad that that's what the sport has come to when it comes to that.
Richard Childress.
Honestly, Richard Childress Racing is not much better, so maybe Corey Haim is better to go to Richard Childress Racing and then just show his stats and see if it helps. Another oddball one before we run too much out of time. Kaulig Racing, and I know that there's been rumors floating around, and I forget where these all started. Kaulig Racing addresses the Tony Stewart and Kasey Kahne Truck Series rumors. Apparently, there's no contract yet, but yet we know Matt Kaulig. He says one thing and does another. For example, he's backing his team at Las Vegas and said it was not his team's fault. But yet, mere hours later, he fired the spotter for the 10 car. You kind of got to read between the lines of that Kaulig Racing. Is apparently they have not, made any contact or contract interest for Tony Stewart, who now races for Dodge in the NHRA. Kasey Kahne ran most of his time in a Dodge. So the Kasey Kahne one, I can see. The Tony Stewart one I feel like is a bit of a stretch. But then again, Matt Kaulig is not the most trusted guy in the garage when it comes to the media. He says one thing and then does another. So I'm taking every inch of that report with a grain of salt because I don't believe very much of it.
It's about all you can do.
Yes. Unless it's officially put out by NASCAR, I don't believe a whole lot anymore. Which then again, I still don't believe half their articles are accurate for the sport.
It's hard to believe NASCAR anymore.
It's hard to believe they're in the best interest of their own sport sometimes. But that about wraps it up for my NASCAR news. One quick news update. Tomorrow they are supposed to release the new Chevy Cup Series car. So stay tuned. I will try to do an update either tomorrow or I may end up doing one Monday, depending on how much reactions I can see on the new Cup Series update. But it is officially announced that the new Chevy Cup Series car will be announced tomorrow, November 14th, 2025.
Seeing because Chevy doesn't even make a sedan anymore, so
I'm hearing rumors of the Malibu, but I'm curious.
Well, I guess from what I was reading, they're actually talking about bringing a sedan back to the Chevy line. So,
Yeah, I heard
but
2025, 2026 Malibu.
actually, the only sedan in the entire GM lineup is the Cadillac. So,
I heard something about Malibu, but I'm not entirely sure. That's just a speculation and a rumor that I've seen floating around.
it'll be interesting. I'm actually pretty excited to see what they got in store.
Me too. I'm ready for this. I'm kind of hoping. I feel like every time they announce a new car, that it takes a year for that car to get back up to speed. But hopefully by 2027, if not 2026, we will have a full performing, Chevy lineup going.
And I'll tell you this: it's only a matter of a few years before Dodge is back in. Really
In the Cup Series.
top. So I'll be
I'm excited to
that.
see them come back because that brings back, at least for me, the original OG series. I mean, when I joined NASCAR, we had Chevy, we had Pontiac, we had Dodge, and we had Ford. So technically, Chevy and Pontiac were both GM. So now we're going to have Chevy, Dodge, Ford, and Toyota. So at least we're going to have four series again.
Completely different ones.
And I that's what I'm kind of looking forward to is I kind of want to see how Dodge, Chevy, and Ford and Toyota are all going to run against each other. Because this is the first time I think we've had four makes in the Cup Series since 2003, maybe 2004. I think it was 2003 though.
Here's another odd thing to talk about or to mention would be remember like a year or so ago everybody was talking about how Honda was interested and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Now
it's funny how
we
they
don't hear
got really
nothing about
quiet
it.
all of a sudden. They got
Yeah.
really quiet all of a sudden. I did notice that.
I don't know if that's even still in the works or not.
I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. I mean, they were talking about electric cars, but yet you hear about it once a year, and now we're not going back to Chicago for the street course. So how are they supposed to do that? So I guarantee they'll do something at San Diego. But I am kind of, I've noticed that it got really quiet ever since that first, visual of that car. I mean, it essentially looks like a hatchback, which they run those in the European series. Don't need to bring to America. There's no need for that.
the biggest one was David Gravel's stats. I mean, they're just amazing.
I mean, that's still 8 more wins than Kyle Larson had.
Whew. I mean,
I had to throw that one out there.
It has been an absolute war between these two, and it's just now getting hot, man. And now that the first season that'll be coming up under the actual franchise system, which will be next year, is set, it's going to be interesting. Now, the Outlaws have announced that they are going to be upping their packages, but the amounts haven't been stated yet. So,
well, just think
they got to do something.
Well, just think it's what the awards ceremony was. What, last week on the 4th? We're only 7 days into silly season. You know, the World Finals just happened this past weekend. We're a mere, 4 days into both silly seasons, and we've got this much chaos. I can only imagine how much news we're going to carry between now and February. So, for all your news and silly season craziness, make sure you subscribe to Switching Grooves. I'm sure we'll have a lot.
I'll tell you, man. But the other thing that hit me, man, was Hunter Schoenberg gets fired from Vermeer again. This is
crazy.
Like the second or third time. I know it's at least the second. But man, like that guy just doesn't have any luck when it comes to that team.
I don't know why he keeps coming back.
I don't know. So, but Nathan, that's going to do it for this episode. But remember, we bring you race recaps, professional breakdowns, and all those insane adrenaline-packed motorsports moments every week. Whether you live for those sideways, mudslinging, dirt slide jobs, or the door-banging, paint-trading action in NASCAR, you belong right here. Hit that subscribe button now so you never miss a finish. And until next time, keep switching grooves. I'm Russ Fritz.
And I'm Nathan Johns.
We're saying race hard.
Stay safe.
And we'll see you there. Good night.
Good night, everybody.